Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of the new coaching chats. This week we've got Komatsu on, Big Adam. So get your pen and paper out. It's not going to be as much bro-y kind of like this and that. It's going to probably be a bit more exact with the stuff. So, Adam, how's your training going? First up, how's the old Achilles?
Yeah, it's been going okay. At the moment, just working on getting stronger through just my left calf. So initially I was working kind of both legs at the same time, putting as much weight as possible through the left, but now I'm just isolating more the left calf. And I think it's getting stronger. It's hard to tell because a lot of the stuff has been doing like hand supported. And it's just trying to put as little weight through my hands as possible. So it's kind of hard to tell. I feel like I'm slowly getting closer to a single leg calf raise, which is the goal at the moment. And then obviously just been smashing the upper body as much as I can. Yeah, it's keeping me
the
sane.
big dip man himself.
Heavy 10.
I swear you do more dips than anyone else I've ever met in my life.
I only did the amount of dips that was on the program.
Yeah, but plus the extras. All right, before we get diving into the how our programs have been going, today we're going to talk about something that a lot of people ask. It's how long will you note until you will notice results in your training? So there's the old saying or the kind of old adage that you go, 4 weeks, the 4 week mark, you'll start noticing. 8 weeks, the people close to you will notice. And then from 12 weeks, everyone noticed the gain train. First of all, is it that simple?
Well, it's obviously not as simple as that, and it's always going to depend on a variety of different factors, and then obviously context matters as well. But I think that is like a reasonable way of looking at it in terms of it's not going to happen very quickly, and that it does generally take at least four to 6 weeks for any significant change to occur that is notable to yourself, and then probably longer that noticeable to others. So, lots of studies on strength and all that kind of thing, they look at 4 to 8 weeks minimum in terms of tracking strength progress. So, I mean, it obviously depends on how you're measuring your progress as well, whether it's like aesthetically, like weight loss, that kind of thing, strength, different performance, and then obviously like moving better. I think like with moving better, you can probably notice that probably a little bit quicker than everything else, because just the more often you move and practicing different movements, if you do it consistently, you'll probably start to notice those results. Like after a week, you probably start to notice a difference.
Yeah.
Even like within a session, you can notice like that you're feeling better if you're doing the right kind of things. Whereas strength's going to definitely take longer. And that's all about consistency. But then you also have like all different factors such as your training age. So someone who's a novice, never lifted before, the first time they step in the gym, they're going to get much stronger within those first few weeks than someone who's been lifting the last 10 years, doing the same kind of thing. So you shouldn't expect to have such a big increase. And then obviously training history is pretty similar to training age. And then like different things like your recovery, your nutrition, how much you're sleeping, that's all going to come into play as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of bigger, more on the context kind of stuff. And then in terms of weight loss, there's always, like, again, it's the context. So you'll have people who do different like fad diets or whatever, and that just cut their calories dramatically. Yeah, you'll probably lose a lot of weight initially, but that's not sustainable weight loss, and you'll probably end up putting it back at some point. So in terms of that, you almost don't want to lose too much too quickly.
Yeah, I think with weight loss, it's the recommendation if you want to maintain muscle mass is 0.8 a week.
Yeah,
0.8 a week to a kilo, and no more than a kilo a week is kind of the.
Yeah, I think it's
making sure your protein's high.
Max. Yeah, and that's not only for muscle mass but also just sustainability in general, because if you lose heaps quickly, then you're more likely to have a rebound at some point.
Well, yeah, your body compensates for everything. So if you have a massive drop in, like, we'll talk about weight loss for now, because it's probably the one that most people can easily track this. But for weight loss especially, if you have a massive decrease, your body is going to be in starvation mode. So as soon as you actually go back into a surplus, your body's going, yippee, calories. Let's store this for when the next time comes around that we are going to have a mass decrease in weight. So you got to trick your body slowly and steadily is the best way to do it. So, so what are some of the mechanics behind, your body change and adaptation then?
Well, I think there's what's called adaptive energy, which is basically the amount of energy that your body has, or your body has a finite amount of energy. Like it can't just, unless like how much you give it in terms of nutrition and stuff is how much energy it has to do basic bodily functions such as keep your heart pumping, digestion, all that kind of stuff. So that's just like your baseline, how much energy there. And then your ability to recover from workouts and stuff, that's going to take away some of your energy. And then on top of that, you have adaptive energy, which is like leftover energy that your body has to create adaptations depending on the stimulus you give it. So if we're giving it some sort of strength stimulus, then it's going to be going towards, building muscle, strengthening neural pathways and stuff like that to get stronger. So basically, I kind of try to tie it in so it makes a little bit more sense. We've got like, everyone's heard of homeostasis before. So your body has like an upper limit and a lower limit in terms of the set points that it wants to sit between at all times. And that's homeostasis. And then if your body falls outside of those limits, then the processes that occur for your body to bring it back into the limits is what's called allostasis. So one of the easiest examples to understand is blood sugar levels, blood glucose levels. So off the top of my head, it's like somewhere between 4 and 6. We'll just say 4 and 6, nice easy numbers. If your body falls below 4, then there's going to be different hormonal responses that happen within the body, which will then stimulate the body to release glucose into the blood, then bringing it back into that normal level. So that hormonal response is what's called allostasis. Now, the bigger that response is, so if I'm just at like a 3.8 and I've got to bring it back into 4, then no biggie, only takes a little bit of energy to do that. Not that much energy used for allostasis, which is called allostatic load, is the amount of energy that it takes. But if I drop all the way down to 2, then the amount of energy that it takes to bring it back into that baseline kind of level, that's going to be a lot more. And that's going to be pulling from that finite resources that I talked about before. So this basically gives us less energy to do things like adaptation. So within our training, we want to reduce the amount of allostatic load. So that's like by proper recovery, such as getting a good night's sleep, adequately fueling your body, and different like meditations and different other recovery methods like that to reduce the allostatic load, which then gives us enough resources or allocates more resources in order to be able to produce adaptations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was wondering where you're going with that, but now I'll get you. Yeah, so pretty much we're talking about supercompensation, yeah?
Yeah, basically. So like when you train, so if this is your baseline, when you train, you're going to fall below your baseline, then your body's going to have to work to get back to at least your baseline. So that's different recovery that's going to happen. Different energy resources are going to come to bring you back to that baseline. And then on top of that, that's when the adaptive energy comes in and you come above that baseline. That's when you adapt from your training. So that's what's known as supercompensation.
I'm drawing a nifty drawing. I'm drawing a drawing. You ready?
I'm ready.
And then it comes down, yeah, and then it goes back up. Comes down, and it goes back up. All right. For everyone who's watching this on YouTube, please see Ryan's drawing. All right. So we've got two axes. I pretty much nailed this. You've got the dotted lines. That is your baseline. Okay. When you train or when you have a stimulus, you go down under your baseline, you get weaker. If you recover, you get a thing called adaptation that brings you up to here to supercompensation, what takes you above the level that it was before you apply another stimulus to drop you back down. And then up and up and up and up you go. That is the basics of it.
Yeah. And so if we tie it back into the initial question, how long will it take? Well, then it would depend on those factors, basically your recovery, your nutrition, your training.
Yeah. Two factors really, isn't it?
Obviously
We're looking at how well are you getting enough stimulus, and are you getting enough recovery to deal with that stimulus to produce the supercompensation that you need to get better. If you're doing that and you're keeping all those parameters in place, you're gonna see the results, and that 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks comes into play. If you're lacking in something, it's probably going to be, if you're training, it's probably going to be your recovery, more likely your recovery than your actual training, because you're placing stimulus on it anyway. Most of the time, it's hard to undertrain. A lot of time, it's really easy to overtrain and not under recover, and then you don't get that supercompensation. You start either going, if I get my whiteboard back out, I need another color pen for this, but you'll go down and then you'll come up a little bit, and then you come down and then you come up a little bit. You end up like that. Second line, training.
And you end up below your baseline.
Recovered not as well, or let's say more realistic. Covered up to about there. Oh, another training stimulus that takes me down. Oh, we're getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And we suck. That's the sucky position. That's the dank position.
Well explained.
All right, so Adam, to sum it up before we get too technical and I start drawing more pictures, what's some summaries for the guys to get the best out of their results, and how, if they do that, how they get again the gains?
If you want to hop all aboard the gains train, the hot tips, definitely you want to be training hard enough, but in order to train hard enough, you need to adequately sleep and adequately fuel your body through nutrition. I think like if you take care of those two, then you're pretty well sorted in terms of being able to train as hard as you can. So prioritize sleep, make sure you're getting enough quantity as well as a good enough quality of sleep. And then nutrition, prioritizing that protein, for obviously that muscle recovery, and enough of the other macronutrients that you can sustain your training. And then lift some heavy tin.
Yeah, I think an easy way to kind of sum it all up into a thingamajiggy is, adequate stimulus and adequate recovery equals consistency. Consistency over time equals gains.
Yeah,
I just came up with that then. So I'm
put on a t-shirt, eh?
But another thing to put on a t-shirt. Simon LeCouliard. Oh, talking about Simon LeCouliard, guys, that is all we have for today with Adam. Adam, thanks for sharing that. That was quite interesting. A bit more in depth than old Julian Ward. I don't actually know his real last name. I just call him by his wrestling name. But Julian Babadillo. Last week was good. This week's better. Guess what, guys? Next week, instead of getting 1 minute with Simon that you used to get, you're going to get at least 10. Guaranteed 10 minutes, because I will be quiet and he will have to talk. Not sure what he's talking about yet. I'm sure he'll announce it during the week. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Oh, Adam, where can they find you? For all the people on YouTube.
You can find me on Instagram at Komatsuaa. So it's my surname, Komatsu, Komatsu, and then 2 A's on the end of that.
And you can find me at, hang on, I've recently changed it.
I think it's Ryan _
FSC _ coaching. Oh, that's a photo of me squatting. There it is. And I'm wearing my famous 5G deflector. For all the people out there. All righty, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.